Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of the Tiki Goth Club. I am in Milwaukee, but not really Milwaukee. We're
Almost
below.
Milwaukee.
What is it?
Cudahy.
I'm glad you said that because I
Yeah.
can't pronounce it. I've been drinking. We've been drinking for a while here,
Mai
and
Tais.
we are in the Black Lagoon room, which
Yes.
is your home tiki bar, and Katie's, but she's off camera right now.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully that doesn't catch up on the audio.
No, it'll be fine. But full on tiki bar, and but the name of the bar is inspired by the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
But you just don't love the creature from the Black Lagoon. You love other horror too.
I love The Creature from the Black Lagoon, but I like all the classic Universal horror movies.
Yeah.
But I also really like just dumb movies. Like just dumb horror movies and like movies where you could tell that somebody really, really cared about it and they just either didn't have the money or the right grasp on how to use the equipment.
So you're talking about Ed Wood. I mean, that's...
Well, I do love Ed Wood.
Me too. I'm a big fan.
And that's one of my favorite movies, actually, the Tim Burton movie. But yeah. I mean, I love, Roger Corman all the way up through, like, William Castle and his were less schlocky. But, all the way up through, like, just... the 80s, like, direct-to-video,
I saw a lot of
direct-to-video. Weird murder movies. Oh. Like, when I was in high school, we lived, just a few blocks away from, like, an old mom-and-pop video store, Hogan's Video in Rock Island, Illinois. It's not there anymore for a very long time. But they had a little horror section, and there was a little curtain around it. And, that was, like, most of, like, high school and junior high was just going and... Okay, I'm going to see this one. Okay, I'm going to see this one. And it was like, Ice Cream Man and, Killer Clowns from Outer Space and...
I remember Funhouse and
Sergeant
Corpse
Kabuki
Grinders.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about the trauma films. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So not only do you have a tiki bar, you created, what did you call it? A horror room? A monster room?
We called it, so every room I had as a kid, I've always been into, like, collecting, like, old toys and stuff, but... specifically monster stuff, and every apartment I had, I always wanted to make it like Pee-wee's Playhouse, and I'd go buy like Halloween decorations and work them into my house. I can't imagine why I wasn't more popular, but when my wife and I met and we bought a condo together, I needed to spruce things up a little bit. We're in a very mid-century modern house now.
It's very mid-century modern.
So, that's the mid-century monster room now. But it's all on, like, proper shelving, and it doesn't, look like a high teenager's basement bedroom,
No, it looks like a museum of monster and horror pop culture from the decades past. And you showed it to me, and I walked in, and I'm like, oh, my God, well, we got to film this. And... So what we're going to do is we're going to go upstairs, and then Pete's going to give us a little tour of your collection.
Sure.
But before we do that, there's one question that I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Well, two, actually. Do you think tiki and horror or monsters mix?
I think if you have divergent sort of pop culture-y kind of interest, there's a way to make anything interact. It's kind of like when you're a kid and, me and my brother always kept our G.I. Joes in one box and we kept our Star Wars figures in another box. But they did play together, and it's like, that's kind of, to me, what it is. I don't think, I guess, where I see the connection and with, my company that's named after the bar that we're in, the connection that I see is with, like, there was a period of time that I've been obsessed with since I was a kid. My dad would rebuild hot rods and stuff when I was a kid, so I spent a lot of time at car shows and that kind of thing. I don't know anything about cars, but I like to look at them and ride in them and occasionally drive them. Mm-hmm. But, there was that period of time during that kind of hot rod craze, like late 50s, but specifically 1964 was like the pimple ready to pop with... when Batman was surfing and the Munsters and Ed Roth and everything exploded at once. But when that was happening, the parents were at the height of the tiki craze with the tiki bar in the basement and the backyard luau's and that kind of thing. So it was the way that I've always looked at it since I kind of discovered tiki as a mostly adult, I guess. I was like 22. But, the little kids were into monsters. The teenagers were going to the drive-in and watching, sci-fi invasion movies and sucking face. And the parents were throwing luau's in the backyard. So it all kind of... It didn't really interact, but it was all in the same house, if that makes sense.
No, completely.
And, like Trader Vic's and the vintage tiki bars definitely, when we first discovered, both my wife and I, the first tiki bar that either one of us ever went to was the Palmer House Trader Vic's in Chicago.
Okay.
Which was 1945, I think, when they opened. And I remember hearing my grandparents talk about going there, and it was really dark and kind of scary, but in like a really cool way. And
but that's how it is. That's what I love about tiki. That's what, there
the
has to be.
Room is creepy.
There has to be an element of danger.
Yeah,
like not real or perceived or whatever, but that the element of like, what am I walking into? And I kind of felt that way going to like the full-on Chinese restaurants.
Oh yeah,
I remember my aunt. She lived in Philadelphia, and I remember she took us. Like me and my sister and my family to like a full-on Chinese restaurant. Yeah. And I remember there's like no windows and it's like
a tiki bar.
And it's like, what are we getting ourselves into here? Like, am I going to get out of here alive? And that's the thing. I think when it comes to tiki, there needs to be that element of just that slight element of mystery and danger or whatever.
Yeah, it's yeah. And, the whole concept of tiki came out of the kind of 1930s Hollywood, like jungle picture sort of thing. And I associate that being a horror movie nerd with like The Island of Lost Souls and King Kong and Mighty Joe Young and that kind of thing. The Monster from Green Hell, that's a good one. But there was definitely that kind of weird sort of like, are we supposed to be here kind of vibe. There was a Chinese restaurant. We used to drive up to Canada every year to go to a fishing camp that my dad's friend owned. Yeah. And we would stop in Duluth, Minnesota. And there was a place there, I think it was called the Red Lantern. But we stopped every year. And it was downtown Duluth. And you'd go underground.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like low ceilings, like red velvet wallpaper, dragons. It was so cool. And that left such an impression on me. And there was a place in the Quad Cities, too, where I grew up, Yenching's, which actually... We discovered there's a Yenching's here, which is exactly the same as the one that I went to as a kid that's been closed since about 1992. So that was a fun surprise, and they do have tiki drinks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So before we go upstairs, just one last thing. So in front of us is some of your mugs that the Black Lagoon Room sells.
Yeah.
And these are mugs that you've created. And obviously we have a Trick or Tiki jack-o'-lantern. You got the what is this?
That's the Drunky Shrunkies.
The Drunky Shrunkies, not a garage rock band from the 90s. And you got the Spook Tiki mugs, and then the Tiki Diablos holding these. So if you're interested in buying any of these mugs, well, good luck getting some of them. But I mean, the ones that are available, go to their website. What is it called?
TheBlackLagoonRoom.com, and we do have more like T-shirts and enamel pins and stuff that are more kind of horror bent. Lots of stuff that glows in the dark because that's fun.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's go upstairs and check out your thing.
All right, let's go look at Frankenstein.
All right, cool.
So yeah, I've been collecting vintage monster toys and records and magazines and all kinds of stuff pretty much since I was a little kid. And I still collect it. Some of these I just got because I can't stop. But yeah, the vintage stuff is just the aesthetics of it, the graphics, the feel of it is just so great. Like some of the stuff over here, like these Remco mini monsters and these Remco 8-inch figures. Like I've had these since I was like a child. This specifically, I've had that Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think we had it before I was born. But yeah, I mean, we've got their little haunted house set back there. A lot of that Gremlin I've had most of my life. That Dracula is awesome, and I don't know why they made it or where it came from, but I've had it at least 35 years. I actually, the first monster toy that I bought specifically as a collectible was this Wolfman in like 1992. So I was like 10 years old, and I bought it and kept it in the box, and my mom thought I was insane. She's like, that's a Halloween decoration. You should take them out of the box. I'm like, no, it's going to be collectible. Then I bought the other ones, and the creature one is down in the basement in the bar. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff, the Sokies from the 60s are iconic. And I've got a lot of the reissue Aurora model kits just because the original ones are so much money. But all the built ones up there, those are all original 60s. 64 during the monster explosion. Those are all Aurora kits. The boxed ones are not original, but they reproduced them exactly the same, and I'm not anal retentive about that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of the Roth kits are not vintage, but yeah, and then we've got a little catch of some kind of horror movie themed mugs there. And yeah, there's a lot more stuff in boxes and other things that I would love to find, but stuff goes for so much money now. Probably the two most valuable things, this Rodan came out in the late 70s from Mattel. They made it to go with this Godzilla, which I bought that at a flea market when I was probably 12 years old. And again, I kept the box and got the whole thing. And this guy, I bought fairly recently, the Great Garloo. That was another 60s, mid-60s toy. It's actually remote controlled, and the remote control had a driver's wheel on it. The remote is all screwed up on mine, but yeah, those used to be like thousands of dollars, or at least $1,000, and they aren't now. All these guys here are all pretty rare. Those original Mego monsters in the box. I mean, the aesthetics on these Mego figures are just crazy. Like, this Frankenstein has like a gold belt on. That box is reproduction. They don't look like that if they're 40 years old, but yeah, I mean, they all glow in the dark, and yeah, the Wolfman has bell bottoms on. It's like, why? Then they didn't have to pay for a license. It's great. I love it. The trashier and crappier a toy is, the more I like it. These are Tomeland. Those were actually, they're so fragile. They sold them at drugstores at the checkout lane, but they based them on characters that other companies didn't make at the time. So you got the Morlock and the Fly and the Cyclops. And they have kicky scarves for some reason, which I love. Yeah, old 70s figures with oven mitts and scarves and gold belts. Like, I'm super into that. It's great. I love those vacuform masks, like the vintage ones, but again, they tend to go for a lot of money. I do have a King Kong one from the 70s reboot in the box there. The box has some kid's name written on it like 100 times, which personally I like stuff like that more. Like if it's got like a price tag from, KB Toys for 99 cents or, some dude's name written on it. I'm the same with records. If I can listen to the record and it's somehow personalized from someone that's either dead or didn't want it anymore. Those three from the top there, the Roth ones, those are extremely hard to find original copies of, and those are actually reissues, but the other ones are all original. I'm missing one here because I ran out of frames. But yeah, these I have a bunch more monster records, Halloween sound effects records. I still have 2 or 3 of them that we had when I was a kid, and I remember on Halloween, my dad would put them on the record player when kids would come up and trick or treat, and even then I just thought that was so weird to like have a record of screaming and chains, but it's fantastic. And great artwork. They always have really cool artwork. So this, I actually made a kind of a dumb rookie mistake in the 90s and collected all these sort of cheaper masks from, there's a company, Elusive Concepts, that made them, but they were cheap and they were made to be disposable, but I mean, all the rubber is like totally rotting on this guy. All the other ones I had to throw away at some point. They just congealed into a weird ball. But I have a film degree because I make good life decisions, and I actually used that in a video in college and rode the bus with it, and that was fun. But yeah, I draw things here and watch dumb movies, and that's my room, more or less.
So not only do you like Tiki, which you have your tiki bar.
Yeah.
But you've also created...
Camera noise.
What the hell is that dog?
She doesn't realize the rug doesn't move. That's our dog, Wilma. She's making a nest.
What about our dog?
She's making a nest.
No, it's funny. We're filming. All of a sudden it's
like, bump, bump, bump. She's trying to burrow into the floor.
Yeah, but it's no big deal.
Yeah. She does that.
Over, I just see the dog going.
She likes to dig at stuff.
So you may be asking yourself, how can I join the Tiki Goth Club? Well, there is no membership. There are no fees. But I have shirts for sale. They're $20 a piece, $5 shipping and handling. If you're interested, go to my website, tikiwithray.com. There's a prompt that says buy a shirt. Follow that. And then that's how you can get your own. You might be wondering, how can I make my Mai Tai more goth? Well, the next time you make it, serve it in one of my Tiki Goth Club glasses. They're only $15. Go to tikiwithray.com to buy your own.